We are here today with Travis Garret Long from season 3 of Outer Banks, and he was also a former Big Brother house guest. So, Travis, you are just making your way across all of the shows. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
So, Travis, you were the first house guest evicted in season 23 of Big Brother. Unfortunately, much to the dismay of fans who really enjoyed you and wanted you to win, or at least be a front runner. So what was it like to be the first to leave the game?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. When I started the whole Big Brother experience, I really went in thinking, okay, I have no real agenda to go to the end here. I've never really watched the show really deeply, at least as like a super fan or anything. Like I know a lot of people have. So I said, let me just go in there and not be first out. I think that's like the main objective here. Just don't be like the lame first one that gets kicked out by like 17 other people. And lo and behold, that's how the cookie crumbles. But I mean, it was still a hell of an experience. I made some great friends that I still talk to almost daily from the show. So all in all, I think it was really worth it. It was a lot of fun, and it taught me a lot about kind of the innards of production, and I got to see how the sausage is made a little bit behind the scenes, and that was a really unique experience, and I'm really grateful for it.
Was there anybody that you were rooting for from the outside to either advance really far or win?
I think on the opposite side of that, just because like empty promises were kind of made, I was kind of hoping to see a downfall of Mr. Frenchy French in there. I was like, that guy's got to get out of here. He's been an absolute like chaotic king. And lo and behold, he was like second to go. So I was like, all right, I kind of got my wish there a little bit. But again, I love the guy, and we still talk outside of the house, and we're actually good buddies. We were inside the house, but just solely from a game perspective, I was like, yeah, I'd like to see that guy fall next, I think. So that kind of worked out. And as far as wanting to see someone win, I think I really saw Kylan as someone that would make it really, really far. He was just really intelligent in the way he spoke to other players. He had clearly seen a lot of the show before, and could kind of, utilize and call on different tactics that different players had used before in previous seasons, and say, oh, I kind of want to pull, like a Janelle or whatever, like in this scenario, or do this. And so I always thought, he was a really tactical guy, really well-rounded, a smart individual, and so I thought they'd take him really far, and I wanted to see it happen.
So season 23 saw one of the biggest alliances in Big Brother history not only form, but take out everybody else in the house before forming a final six and securing the first black winner of the game. How do you feel about the Cookout's overall gameplay?
I have to give kudos to them. They were absolutely one of the most effective teams I've ever seen. They methodically eliminated every single member, on the other side of them, their competition. And so, I mean, that's incredible gameplay. They came together, they had an agenda, and they pulled it off flawlessly. So I commend them for it. It's really well done.
Are you watching the current season? And if so, who are you rooting for?
So I haven't seen a whole lot of the current season. I actually tuned into like the very first one, maybe 2 episodes, and just immediately got the PTSD of hello, house guests, like ringing in my ear, the classic Julie isms that she says every time, every season. And so it kind of turned me off a little bit. I was like, oh no, I've already lived this. I don't need to, live it again. So I haven't seen a whole lot of it. I know a couple of players' names, but I wouldn't say I'm particularly rooting for any one person.
If you had the chance to go back and play Big Brother again, would you? And if you did, would your strategy be the same or different?
I would say I don't think I would play Big Brother again, but I would change my strategy if I could kind of go back in time and like knock on my head and say, hey, don't do that.
Don't trust Frenchie.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was way too trusting and way too like loving of people that I kind of fell into relationships with really early on. There's like Derek and Brent and Frenchie and a couple of other people that I was just like, these are my homies, like separate from the game. Like we're going to be really good buddies outside the game, which is true. But as it related to, my strategy and my actual gameplay, it like totally annihilated it. And that I was just like, oh, these guys got me. I can kind of sit back and not strategize too much. So I think I would change that a little bit and be a little more skeptical of those I had around me, even though I wanted, you should have people close to you. You should also have a healthy bit, I think, of skepticism with the people that you surround yourself with in that game, because ultimately only one person can win, So even if you go with your best buddy all the way to the last one, you know, you want to be able to win the 750K over
Right.
your best buddy. What it comes down to. But yeah, as far as playing again, I don't think I would play it again. It's kind of a been there, done that, where I dipped my toe in reality TV. It shot me right back out, and I think it's for the better. I think I realized reality TV just isn't really my jive, and I kind of want to pursue the arts a little bit more. You know, getting a script in my hand over just kind of being in front of a camera and doing whatever.
So what's interesting about that statement is that you are now working on Outer Banks season 3, which is incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you are Chase Stokes' body double for season 3.
I am, yeah.
Amazing.
Can you believe that?
So how did that opportunity come about?
Yeah, so one of my friends was connected to one of the casting directors, and funny enough, actually, I think a lot of what had to do with me actually getting this role to be Chase's body double for season 3 is because when I was in the Big Brother house, there were articles in press writing about how similar I looked to Chase Stokes, and there's like articles out there you can Google that say stuff like Travis Long is literally John B. He's like straight up Chase Stokes' twin, and those articles were actually passed along to the casting director when they were looking for a body double for the season, and so it just kind of clicked and made sense. It really wasn't even much of like an audition process or a look at my background. She was just like, okay, this is too good to pass
You're
up.
hired.
You were born for this role. So yeah, not a whole lot of work put in from my side, just beyond being born and getting my hair a little shaggy, really.
So what has it been like working with the casting crew of one of Netflix's biggest and most popular shows of all time?
Man, it has been incredible. An absolute once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I'm insanely grateful for. The entire cast is just, it's probably a cliche to say this, but they're so incredibly talented. It's just, yeah, it's been a really huge privilege to just, you know, separate from working with them and kind of blocking out movements and doing all the things that body doubles do. Just being able to kind of watch, you know, like a fly on the wall, the directorial process with Jonas, the director and writer of Outer Banks, working with the cast, telling them, you know, specific movements, and then going back to kind of his A-frame with all the monitors back there, seeing it played out right there, and it just looking so cinematic. Or if something's off, you know, just seeing the little tweaks that he makes, a comment to a cameraman, or, you know, to just some small movement that totally, you know, changes your perception of the scene or how it's supposed to be taken in. It's incredible. It's really like just witnessing a massive, well-oiled machine like come together and do its thing.
So what are the things as a body double that you do on camera, off camera, with Chase, without Chase? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm a body double and a stand-in. So for basically every scene, they need to come in, they need to put the lighting up, they need to get the audio guys in there, they need to get the cameras right. And that's what we're there for. While they call them kind of team 1 and team 2, and the stand-ins are team 2. So while, you know, team 1 is getting their makeup and hair and wardrobe and everything done, we're actually standing in, working with the camera guys, the sound guys, the director, you know, kind of the whole crew to ensure that the shot looks just right, you know, from a coloration standpoint, from an audio standpoint. Can they hear us okay? Kind of blocking and going through the movements of the scene to understand, so the crew can understand how they need to move with us, you know, to keep us on the right frame. If they need to kind of be over my right shoulder the whole time, and then one movement they need to shift over to capture the dialogue of another member of the cast. So things like that from a stand-in perspective. And then from a body double perspective, I'll just be doing scenes when Chase isn't there. If he's off doing another scene, or again, kind of getting his makeup and hair done, running lines, whatever it is. Sometimes I'll be there running lines with, you know, the other members of the cast. Sometimes if it's kind of a far away shot, like a drone shot or something like that, I drove the Twinkie around for a couple of shots that will
Awesome.
hopefully make the show. And yeah, I drove a boat around with Madeline and Rudy. You know, a lot of members of the cast that I just do random different things with if it's kind of a far away shot and they don't need to directly see my face. A lot of fill-in stuff, so you'll see like my hands. They tanned me up nice and good to get that bronze Chase Stokes skin. And yeah, so a lot of just kind of fill-in stuff. Basically anything that they don't need to see his face directly, you'll see your boy.
Great. So how much of the work that you have been doing has been directly with Chase in terms of the physicality, in terms of just all of that?
It's really ironic because obviously Chase is kind of his body double his stand-in, but that actually means I'm doing things when Chase isn't there to do the things. So funny enough, I probably ended up working with Rudy the most in scenes. You know, they're kind of the best buddies. They're the dynamic duo, always fighting crime and getting in trouble together. So that's kind of the antics that I was up to in the scenes. It was just Rudy and I a lot of the time. From a perception of needing to kind of capture the body movements and, you know, how Chase kind of operates in scenes, I would need to watch him kind of do those things a lot of the time. But when it actually came down to interacting with other, you know, cast members, it was a lot of the time when Chase wasn't there. So he's probably who I interacted from a work perspective the least with. And I ended up working with Rudy, probably Madeline, Madison, and JD the most.
So prior to working on Outer Banks and even being on Big Brother, did you have any acting experience coming in, or has that element of the gig been completely new to you?
Yeah, I wasn't in theater arts in high school or anything like that. I didn't do much acting in college at all. I think kind of the extent of my understanding of acting was going to like the one-off play or something with a friend in college. So I really had no idea, you know, how to operate within like kind of the acting capacity in the acting world in general. But I've always kind of had a feeling like it just kind of makes sense to me to go into that space or be a presenter or, you know, an entertainer in some facet or another. That's always interested me, and I've always kind of looked further into projects, films, and kind of, you know, who's directing that, what have they directed before, what is kind of their style. I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino nerd, so I've kind of jumped into that realm a little more deeply than I would like to admit. Just kind of falling down that YouTube rabbit hole of 10 things you didn't know, you know, Quentin Tarantino put in this film, and it's like an hour-long video. I'm like, why did I just watch that? So yeah, I've always had an interest in it, but never an actual action-oriented pursuit of it. Until now.
Yeah. Is there anything from Big Brother that prepared you for Outer Banks, or have they been two completely separate on-camera experiences?
I would say just in general, kind of all the press junket, you know, before and after the show, and just being in front of the camera in general, just made me a little more comfortable to be able to do it. I would say for the most part, I was already really comfortable just in public speaking and, you know, and kind of speaking in front of people in general. But it really kind of confirmed in me that, okay, there's no nerves in front of a camera at all. It's really easy to do. And so I think it'll be really easy going forward, you know, to do that on Outer Banks or anything else.
It would be very cool if John B had a long lost brother and they were like,
I'm saying, Jonas, you heard it here first.
Write me in.
Yeah, write it up.
So, on that topic, what can you tell us about Season 3 of Outer Banks?
Let's see. A spicy question. I don't think I can say a whole lot beyond, you've probably heard the cliched general answer a million times that it's going to be, you know, full of action. I will say I think there is a lot of resolve for some of the wants and needs that the viewers kind of desired in the last two seasons. You know, questions left unanswered. I think a lot of those are answered. Some cliffhangers really come to a full circle and they're resolved. So I think what I'll also say in season 3, comparatively with other seasons, that the feeling of emotions that the cast is feeling, it's felt by the viewer to an exacerbated extent. And what I mean by that is we've seen, you know, these kids kind of going through all these hardships, these difficulties. We've seen, you know, crying, we've seen laughing, but it's felt by the viewer in a way that you're just so much more connected to them now. You know, you've seen 2 other seasons of it. You've really felt, you know, kind of the raw emotion in JJ, you know, as he works through the difficulties and hardships, you know, with his father, and John B, same thing, and, you know, the issues that Sarah and her dad have, and Rafe and the struggles that he's obviously had. I mean, it's just like you want to cry when they're crying, and you just want to hysterically laugh when they're having a good time. You really just feel like one of the gang, and that is just exacerbated in this season. I think it's awesome, and you feel like a pogue watching.
They all kind of have daddy issues, don't they?
As I was saying that, I was like, wait a second. This whole show is just an issue with the fathers, man. So just fathers, be there for your kids.
Be there.
I think is the message.
Be better. So after season 3 wraps, what is life looking like for you? Do you have any other projects on the horizon? What are you looking to get into next?
Yeah, so I was just looking to kind of start building up my reel, jump into some short films and, you know, some smaller projects just to be on camera and you know, continue to kind of develop my skill set as an actor. And some of those actually got taken over by the gnarly filming schedule that is Outer Banks season 3, and I wasn't able to make some things that I already had in the works. But I'm just gonna, you know, keep on keeping on, look for other opportunities. I've made some really good connections on the set, some awesome directors and assistant directors that I met along the way that are based in Atlanta, which isn't super far from here, and obviously some LA roots. And so I think I'm gonna kind of pursue some acting classes and some of the connections that I've made here to just kind of keep diving into, you know, this space and develop myself further.
You wrote a children's book as well?
I did, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, my God.
That's hard to find. Good on you. You did your research.
I did a little bit of research.
There you go. So yeah, it's a funny story with that. It actually started as a project where I realized I was too dumb to just get into college just solely off of merit. My GPA wasn't crazy good. My ACT and SAT scores were mediocre at best. And so I was like, I really need something to stand out. So I jumped into a project of just writing a children's book. I think I wanted to write just an actual book at first, and I was like, this is insane. There's like 3 months till I need to, you know, apply to college. I need to really correct my standards here. And then I was like, okay, I'll write a children's book. And so I wrote it about the safety around stranger danger for kids. And what started out as just a please get me into college project actually blossomed into me getting, so I ended up reading the story at like 12 elementary schools around the district. And through that process, I actually kind of ended up holding a competition where kids would illustrate the book, you know, and so each page is actually illustrated by some of the children that I read the story to. And we packaged that all up, and I ended up just putting it on Amazon. And yeah, now some people like you can stumble upon the deep archives of Travis Long from 12th grade.
That is amazing. That's just amazing. I mean, you don't hear things like that happening every day. So
Yeah.
I mean, what a cool way to get the kids involved in a project that's for them.
Right? Yes. So it ended up being, a really rewarding experience, and it got me into business school at University of Texas. So it was a win-win.
And then you finished school in 3 years, is that right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I finished up a little early and went straight to Hawaii after that because I had no idea what I wanted to be. And that resulted in the Big Brother casting directors jumping in my DMs one day, just seeing that I lived in Hawaii and lived this interesting life. And that kind of led to me now being the Outer Banks John B. double. So it's all just kind of, flowed and fit in really well. I'm certainly blessed, and I know that I'm lucky, and I'm going to take advantage of every day.
So just to make sure I have this, you are 23 years old. You majored in business administration and management. You are an actor / working on becoming an actor.
Trying.
You are a children's book author. What can't you do?
I can't eat pickles, man. That's what I can do. I get harped on so much from that by people when I throw my pickles out of my Chick-fil-A sandwich or something.
I don't like them either.
Really?
Yeah, I am
Good
not
man.
a fan.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of pickles.
If you have to soak something in vinegar, anything at all, it's not like a real food you should be eating, in my opinion. I'm going to get a ton of hate for this. I might get canceled for that, but there it is. I can't eat pickles, man. No, I'm still trying to learn and, grow my mindset and just understand why it is that I've been placed on this rock floating through space just like everyone else, man. So,
Well, you are killing it, so
I
keep it up.
appreciate you.
Yeah.